And in Escanaba, one man is giving thanks after the community came together to support his mission of helping those affected by Hurricane Helene. My UP's Jessica Goska brings us the story.
In the wake of devastation, the Upper Peninsula brought hope. This is the message an Escanaba man shares with the story of a community-wide effort to help those impacted by Hurricane Helene. It all started when Paul Culbertson, formerly of Morganton, North Carolina, saw images of that city ravaged by the tropical storm. Determined to make an impact, Culbertson decided he himself would drive a truck full of supplies into western North Carolina, where he would connect with grassroots efforts to help people in need. He took to Facebook with a simple plea that others give what they could to the cause. Within days, donations began pouring in. Businesses, churches, individuals, and nonprofits, whole neighborhoods rallied to help. By the time Culbertson was set to leave, he had amassed enough supplies to fill 3 trailers, had a team of 13 people going with him, and felt a part of a community that showed up in a powerful way.
One thing that I've learned and fallen in love with when it comes to the Upper Peninsula is that there is something very real and meaningful about being UP strong. And people stand with each other and for people they don't even know. One of the most powerful things that happened before the trip was that Escanaba's football team, Gladstone's football team, Bay College's basketball team all showed up amongst a bunch of other volunteers in this community to help us load everything up. It was just powerful. These two teams that have rivaled each other the whole time I've lived here, over 10 years, now side by side helping each other lift things up and putting it in and doing something that is bigger than football together. It was just amazing to watch. The day we were loading everything up, it was a little bit rainy, but then this rainbow came up over the building and on the other side of the trailers. And it was just like God saying, I got this. And this is for me, and it's for these people, and it's going to be good.
Before the trucks left the lot, Culbertson says he prepped the team for the journey ahead.
We had a meeting with everybody going, and I said, I don't know what to expect, but if we get there and all they need me to do is fold clothes for 3 days, that's what I'm going to do if that's really what they need. You have to go down there with that heart of, I'm going to serve. We're going in not to be the heroes, but to be helping hands, and that's a huge thing for people to really, just grasp.
As the team made their way into North Carolina, reality began to sink in. Homes had been stripped to the foundation, cars had piled over, and people were living in tents. On their first day in Morganton, the group stayed together. They performed welfare checks in neighborhoods where service was down, power was out, and people hadn't been heard from in days. Just getting into these communities, Culbertson says, was a challenge.
We were driving up the mountain to get over to Spruce Pine, Black Mountain area, and we got up this one path and half the road was gone. I have a picture and there's a street sign, there's no road. I had to walk through 5 new rivers to get to this place, and there's beautiful homes back here, like beautiful homes that you will not be able to get to for a very long time with a vehicle, because it's just no longer possible. We're checking on people, we're double checking, we're making sure, and along that journey, you run into people who aren't even on those boards who need help. One of the most beautiful parts of this trip was seeing the resiliency in humanity and the genuine compassion that people had for one another. But we saw a lot of people hurt and broken too, that are just like almost numb, like, what do I do now? How do we go forward from this? Because just looking at it is hard to see. At the end of day one, everybody had heard enough and seen enough to know that there's going to be some hard parts of this trip. The areas that were really devastated, I think that leaves an imprint on you that you're not going to forget. We met 2 guys, and their house is just off foundation, it's like almost bent in half, and they're living in tents in their backyard. They got nothing, And the only thing they have is what you're willing to give. Right behind me, this is where a house was, and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to show you where that house is. Right behind me. It seems like everything we did was just like a drop in a bucket. There's a drop in a bucket that is empty, and the bucket is huge. But I just keep thinking, if everybody just puts one more drop in that bucket, it's going to get full again. Every drop is worth something, and every drop helps.
Despite the sorrow in the room, the team witnessed beautiful moments throughout the trip of neighbors helping neighbors, and the volunteers got to be a part of that beauty too. Even obstacles along the way presented opportunities for the team to make a difference.
The beginning of day 2, we go to pick up the trailers, which are parked by this warehouse where a lot of our goods are. And we have the trailers already ready to go, but we get there and there's a farmer's market going on. And our trailers are blocked in. One of our team members, him and his wife, he went over and he started talking to this guy who has some stuff at the farmer's market, and they just asked him, like, how did your home do? Because this is still in Morganton. He's like, you know, my house didn't get hit, but I got trees down everywhere. They're all over the property. And he goes, and I have a hernia and a bad back, but so many people have it so much worse. Our guy's like, well, just give me your number and I'll call you when we're done for the day. And they call the guy, and they go over to his house, and they get some chainsaws, and they cut up all the guy's wood on his house. So this guy sends him a text later, and he says in the text message, I can't express what an answer to prayer you guys were. I had been reluctant to ask for any help because there are so many people in need. But I knew that I needed help, and I prayed that morning before I went to the farmer's market that God would supply, and you guys showed up. And God showed me that when I'm willing to admit that I need help, that He's going to supply it. We don't just have to look at a disaster or an area and feel bad or just throw up a prayer. We can tangibly do something about this. We're not going to be able to help every family, but what if we're just one more drop in that bucket? Bringing hope, letting people know they're loved, they're not forgotten, they're not abandoned. In this community, what they did, I can't thank the community enough. I can't speak loudly enough about it, but it's impacted my life in a way that I will hold with me all of my days. I'm so thankful that we were able to go and do what we did.
Reporting for IUP News, this is Jessica Goska.